Namaste, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. A little over 38 years after it was launched with a base of just 100 points, the BSE Sensex crossed the 75,000 point mark on Tuesday and it touched a record high. With this, it broke the 25,000 barrier 10 years ago on the 16th of May 2014. So in the last 10 years under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, the Sensex itself has jumped about 50,000 points, ladies and gentlemen. And that was when he had won the Lok Sabha elections back in 2014. Now, Bharat has now been making strides with its unified payment interface also. The digital payment service has been launched in 7 nations outside Bharat in a span of 3 years. The most recent launches were made in Sri Lanka, Mauritius, for which Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, they were present virtually. The first time UPI was launched outside Bharat was in Bhutan in 2021. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Roads, Transports and Highways recorded the highest ever capital expenditure of 3.01 lakh crore rupees in the 2023-24 year, with both the government and private expenditure at an all-time high at 2.64 lakh crore rupees and 34,805 crore rupees respectively. Highway building in Bharat touched its second best record at 12,349 kilometers in 23-24, only after the exceptionally high numbers of 13,327 kilometers achieved back in 2021. Now, as per documents accessed, the ministry built 1,425 kilometers of highway with 6 or 8 lanes, the highest in a year. Similarly, in the 4-lane category, the number stood at 3,768 kilometers, also the highest ever. Also, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in 75 years since independence, the Ganga Aarti was performed and held on the banks of the Kishan Ganga, the river Kishan Ganga, at the LOC Titwal in Kashmir. About 100 pilgrims from all over the nation took part in this event. Now, this is the first time after partition that the Yatris who visited the Sharda temple at LOC Titwal, Kashmir, took a dip in the Kishan Ganga river not far from the temple. Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen, and set up a story that we must talk about. Yes, it is heavy political season. Yes, everybody is talking about the political fisticuffs, but Bharat matters to us. Here on CNN News 18, on The Right Stand, we put Bharat first. Your channel has been at the forefront and has been relentlessly exposing illegal migrants, illegal foreigners on Bharatiya soil who are not just a threat to our country but also a big dent to our economic growth. And this is because of the porous borders that we face, especially with Bangladesh and Nepal. 13 years since the last census, the influx of illegals seems to have only escalated from Bihar to West Bengal to Uttar Pradesh to Jharkhand, and a similar trend has been witnessed. CNN News 18 in 2023 told you how illegals were entering Bharat via various means, and today the Jharkhand High Court has taken note not just of our expose but also the note or perhaps response to the petitioner in this entire matter who's been fighting this case. The Jharkhand government accepting that there is infiltration in the state's Santhal Pargana region and admitted that nearly 10 to 15 lakh people are currently under the scanner. The High Court then asked the centre if action can be taken under the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 against the illegals, and the court has now given the centre 3 weeks' time to respond on the same. So what are the possible ways how these illegals can enter Bharat? And there is a reason why this matters, ladies and gentlemen, because these illegals will then embed themselves into our country and there would be no account. It's been nearly 13 years that we have got a Sensex too. The land route, this is how they embed themselves. From Bangladesh borders, they first enter West Bengal's Malda region, and from Malda they then enter Jharkhand's Pakur and other adjoining districts of the Santhal Pargana area via the road. This is how they make their way. You can see from Malda, this is the porous border area, riverine areas, and they enter and then they move into this area. Now, the river route, using the marshy areas near the Farakka Dam in West Bengal, They use that as an advantage, and then they cross over, they cross the Ganga river, and from Bihar's Kishanganj, and then they enter Jharkhand's Sahibganj. This is how they get in there. CNN News 18 in July last year travelled across Jharkhand to assess the impact of influx of illegals from Bangladesh and discovered how these migrants are being provided shelter in madrasas in tribal Santhal Pargana region. Fake documents were being created and their names are added to the electoral rolls. This is the reason why this becomes politically significant just ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. If there are illegals who are into our country, who've got fake documents and who are part of the voter rolls, what is it that they can do and how can they influence who will decide their destiny or who will decide our desh's destiny, our country's destiny. That's the reason why this is important, and we're picking it up tonight, ladies and gentlemen, here on The Right Stand. Here's a quick recap of that ground report before we proceed.
A letter from the special branch of the Jharkhand police has warned of an influx of illegal immigrants from Bangladesh. The letter accessed by CNN News 18 warns that these illegals are being given shelters and madrasas in the tribal Santhal Pargana region. Fake documents created and their names added to the electoral rolls. CNN News 18 travelled across the Santhal Pargana region of Jharkhand from Sahibganj, Pakur, Dumka to Deoghar.
90 के दशक से लगभग इस क्षेत्र में लगातार बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठ हो रहा है और बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठ का आप अंदाजा इस तरह से लगा सकते हैं कि राजमहल प्रखंड, उधवा प्रखंड, बढ़रवा प्रखंड, पाकुड़ सदर प्रखंड, इन क्षेत्रों में जो पंचायतों का विभाजन हुआ है और नए पंचायत बने हैं तो उसमें से अधिकांश पंचायत वही बने हैं जो मुस्लिम जनसंख्या से अधिक थे और इसके माध्यम से बड़े पैमाने पर एक नियोजित साजिश के तहत इस इलाके में घुसपैठ हो रही है.
The claim on illegal influx seems to be substantiated by the census figures. Between 2001 and 2011, there has been an overall increase of 14% in Muslim population in the state. In the same time period, the Santhal population grew at 14.2%.
These are the things which are coming in the reports. We have not yet received any report from the government as it, but once we receive it, we have already given the directions that wherever any illegal kind of activities that comes to the notice of the local administration, whatever the legal steps has to be taken, it will be taken by us.
Activists allege that these illegal immigrants are encroaching on tribal land, especially in the Sahibganj district. This land in the Nayabasti locality of Rajmahal is owned by J. Tudu, a Santhal. He alleges that his private property was encroached upon by Muslims. Construction of Pakka houses can be seen on this land. We tracked him down and he showed us the papers of that land. He alleged that he was not the only victim.
बहुत सारे ऐसे हैं हमारे कास्ट के लोग जो हैं उनकी ज़मीन पे भी काफ़ी सारे अवैध कब्जा हुआ है. ये किसी न किसी रूप से हुआ है, या कोई जमाई बन के कर ले, या कुछ शादी का प्रलोभन देकर कर ले, या कोई दूसरा स्वार्थ देकर कर ले, लेकिन कब्जा वहाँ पर हमारे संथाल ट्राइब की ज़मीन पे काफ़ी कब्जा हुई है.
We are here at Rajmahal subdivision of Sahibganj district, and this side of the railway track, we can see the land over here, and it's totally tribal land according to the papers what we have got. And now we can see the constructions going on. Some makeshift houses are there made up of aluminium sheets, and brick houses are there. That means that construction of some houses have already begun, and we are learning that these houses belong not of the tribals but from illegal migrants according to the local people here.
It's not just tribal land. This mosque is being constructed in the ecologically sensitive zone of Sahibganj's Udva block.
Just in the range of 200 meters we have seen that there are around 5 mosques, and this mosque is under construction as we see.
मैंने विधानसभा में इस बात को उठाया था कि आप पता करिए कि वहाँ धार्मिक स्थल कैसे बन रहा है, लेकिन सरकार गोल मटोल जवाब दे करके अपना इतिश्री समझ ले रही है। तो कहीं न कहीं ये तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति के कारण इस प्रकार का खेल चल रहा है।
We have traveled more than 2500 kilometers and covered 4 districts and international border as well to bring you this report. There are several cases of Bangladeshi infiltration. The Ranchi High Court has taken cognizance of the PIL filed and the special branch has asked the police captains to submit a report. The issue is the internal security of the state. The issue is the survival of the tribes in the state. The issue is whether the government is playing appeasement politics. The outcome will be the action taken by the state. With camera person Shahboob Alam, this is Saurav reporting from Santhal Pargana for CNN News 18.
Ladies and gentlemen, the issue is not just the internal security of the state of Jharkhand. It has a direct impact on our own internal security, and it's also a national security issue. As we speak, there are unconfirmed estimates by various surveys that have been carried out across the country that say that there are nearly 3 to 4 crore illegals across the length and breadth of Bharat. 3 to 4 crore, it's not a small number. Today, the High Court has seen the Jharkhand government itself accept that just in the Santhal Pargana region and the adjoining areas, there could be 10 to 15 lakh people. Syed Danial Danish, petitioner, is joining us at this point. He's the one who had moved the PIL. Danish, thank you so much, if I may call you Danish.
Sure.
Tell us
Thank you so much.
what did the court say? How did you move this PIL? And the progress has been over the course of the last 1 year. But what did the court say today? And what did the Jharkhand government accept in court today?
कल जो सुनवाई हुई है उसमें ऑनरेबल जस्टिस झारखंड हाई कोर्ट ने केंद्र सरकार के अधिवक्ता से ये पूछा है कि सीएए के तहत हम उन 5 जिलों में कार्रवाई कर सकते हैं कि नहीं। आप ये बताएं हमें। केंद्र सरकार के बिहाफ में केंद्र सरकार से बात करके एफिडेविट देके 3 सप्ताह का समय दिया है। 3 सप्ताह के अंदर एफिडेविट देके जवाब देने के लिए कहा है।
पर एक बात बताइए दानिश कि सीएए तो नागरिकता देने वाली बात है, पर अगर बाहर के लोग हैं जो इलीगल हैं, अवैध हैं, तो इन पर तो फॉरेनर्स एक्ट 1946 लागू होगा। और ये कि कोई अगर वहां अवैध रूप से है, अगर उस एक्ट के संशोधन के बाद तो लोकल डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट के पास भी ये पावर्स हैं कि अगर कोई बिना पेपर्स के और जो भारतीय नागरिक वहां पे नहीं है उनको वहां से हटाया जाए। तो सीएए कहां से आता है
सर? ऐसा है कि जहां तक स्टेट की बात है तो आज से 3-4 महीना पहले तक तो स्टेट एक्सेप्ट ही नहीं कर रहा था कि इलीगल माइग्रेंट्स झारखंड में है। मैं पिछले 2 साल से इस पे काम कर रहा हूं, लेकिन पिछले 4 महीना पहले तक झारखंड गवर्नमेंट ने एफिडेविट देके कहा था कोर्ट को कि यहाँ इलीगल माइग्रेंट्स नहीं है, लेकिन अब एक्सेप्ट कर रहा है। दूसरी बात, सीएए के तहत कार्रवाई करने के लिए इसलिए कहा गया है कि अगर जेन्युइन है, सही है, तो मेरा प्लीड ये था कि या तो आप उनको तरीके से चैनलाइज करके लाइए, या आप उनको अगर अनचैनलाइज तरीके से हैं, अवैध तरीके से उन्होंने कब्जा किया हुआ है, वो घुसे हुए हैं, तो उनको आप या तो फिर किसी तरह से कैंप में रखिए या आप उनको रिस्ट्रिक्ट करके रखिए।
तो यानी कि आप मानते हैं ये बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है ग्राउंड पर एक्चुअल परिस्थिति क्या है दानिश?
सर, ये ग्राउंड पर बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है आज के समय में, और ये हिंदुस्तान के आंतरिक सुरक्षा के लिए बहुत बड़ा खतरा है खुले तौर पर।
ये कौन लोग हैं, कहां से आ रहे हैं, और इन्हें कोई तो वहां बसा रहा होगा ना?
हाँ, बंसारे हैं, बिना प्रोटेक्शन के तो ये नहीं हो सकता। और देखिए, ये बांग्लादेश से आए हुए लोग हैं, बड़ी इजीली एक्सेस करते हैं। बंगाल के बारे में सब कोई जानता है, बंगाल से एक्सेस करना, बंगाल आना तो बड़ा आसान है। और झारखंड, बंगाल से सटे हुए जितने भी राज्य हैं, चाहे वो बिहार हो, बिहार में भी है, मैं काम कर रहा हूँ, बंगाल में मैं जाऊंगा, बिहार में भी मैं काम कर रहा हूँ, बिहार भी जाऊंगा। तो ये 3-4 स्टेट, चाहे उड़ीसा है, चाहे जितने भी सटे हुए स्टेट है बंगाल से, उसमें ये बड़ा इजीली एक्सेस कर लेते हैं।
और वहां आकर जमीनें हथिया रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं? अतिक्रमण कर रहे हैं।
ये आते हैं। ये सबसे पहले देखिए हमारे झारखंड में क्या है कि ये इजिली टारगेट करते हैं संथालीस को, आदिवासियों को। आदिवासियों में भी जो गांव के लोग हैं उनको बड़ा इजिली टारगेट कर लेते हैं। ये बहला फुसला के उनसे शादी करते हैं, उस तरीके से इनको जगह मिल जाता है। ये वहां पे फिर अपना पसारते हैं, पैर पसार लेते हैं, वहां इनको रहने के लिए जमीन और छत मिल जाती है। उसके बाद ये लोग चाहे वो मदरसा हो जाए, चाहे ये अच्छा ये घुल मिल जाते हैं। मतलब ये इतने आसानी से ये फैल जाते हैं कि आपको और हमको आसानी से पता नहीं चलेगा कि ये बाहर के लोग हैं या क्या। और इनका सारा पेपर भी बड़ा पुख्ता होता है।
तो अब इसको कैसे पहचान कैसे होगी? अब अगर सरकार जो पहले 4 महीने पहले, यूर सेइंग 4 months अगो, वो कह रहे थे कि यहाँ कुछ इलीगल नहीं है, यहाँ सब लोकल्स ही हैं, लेकिन अगर हम कुछ डेमोग्राफिक नंबर्स देखें तो पुराने ही नंबर्स हों, भले ही 2001 से 2011 के बीच में, तो ये पहले से होता आ रहा है। लेट्स कैन वी जस्ट क्विकली कॉल अप दैट डेमोग्राफिक चेंज, is it deliberate? Because what we are seeing is that in Sahibganj, in 2001, the Muslim population was about 2,90,000 odd. By 2011, it jumped to 3,98,243, far greater than the population growth rate or the ratio there. In terms of Pakur, 2,27,000 to 3,22,000, it was a 42% jump, a 37% jump, a 42% jump. Versus, let's look at the Santhal region, where in 2001, again it was at 10.8% in terms of the overall Santhal population. So the Muslim population and the Santhal population, look at the difference in growth rate, 10.8% growth rate and 19.51%. So it's 42% in the same region of Sahibganj, 42% Muslim population jump and 10.8%. Again in Pakur, if you look at it, the same, if you look at the jumps, 42% and 19.51%. So similar, same area, but two different communities. एक का करीब 20%, 19 to 20% बढ़ता है, उसका दूसरे का डबल गुना बढ़ता है, whereas the population that's grown by about 2.5-3 times is actually supposed to be smaller in number, much smaller in number. So this is what pointed to the fact that there could be mass scale illegal migration or illegal entry, influx, and from the neighboring areas. So Bangladesh to Bengal and Bengal to Jharkhand. दानिश, आप मेरे साथ बने रहिए. Let's just open this up a little. Ishkaran Bhandari, lawyer, is with us. Praful Shah Deo, spokesperson of the BJP in Jharkhand, is with us, and Tanuj Khatri, spokesperson of the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, is also with us. Now, does CAA come into play in this? Because the High Court has asked कि CAA से कोई solution निकल सकता है. CAA can give nagrikta to persecuted minorities, but what should be applicable? Here, Ishkaran Bhandari.
Anand, firstly, my compliments to the petitioner because it is an extremely important issue he's taken to the court. We are at a state of war. The documents and the data you are showing of increase of 42%, 19%, 10%, that's a complete war in which the demographics of India is being changed. Unfiltered through the border, they keep coming because certain state authorities allow that to happen. And there are various states. There is a different problem in Northeast, there is a problem here, and that problem is multiplying day by day. And that takes away resources from the poorest sections of the society. That is why probably there was so much of protest against CAA. Obviously, it's a law to give citizenship, not to throw people out. But after CAA, there is a thing called NRIC, where you will have to identify who are the citizens of this country. Firstly, we have to undertake that process because, as Mr. Danish is saying, कि वो इतना घुल-मिल जाते हैं, it is not so easy to identify them also. And the process of identification also, I've always maintained, the protests against CAA was a red herring because they did not want the subsequent actions to be undertaken with subsequent laws to come which would lead to illegal people being thrown out of India. We are absolutely at a state of war. If whatever economic development we do, people from Bangladesh come or from any other country come, Pakistan or Afghanistan or any other country, and these countries where there are no resources, Pakistan is a bankrupt nation. Can we have everybody from Pakistan coming in here? Bangladesh, we know what the situation is. We know what the situation is in Afghanistan and so many other countries. So I think what I think the High Court has done is, even though under CAA we both know what the position is, that it is exploring the option, it is putting it to the government that what do you think is a solution, because sending a notice like this or issuing a notice like this means that they are cognizant of the problem, they understand how big the problem is, and now they are seeking a government's response on how to tackle the problem, which is a very positive development. How it's tackled, of course, will require the government to provide certain laws and a political situation to do it en masse. And that is where I think the entire problem lies. But it is a problem, I hope, in 2024, after the elections, we solve for Bharat.
Very rightly said. Just quickly before we bring in Tanuj Khatri and also Pratul Shahdev, sorry. Just the CAA gives nagrikta or citizenship to those who have fled neighboring countries, persecuted minorities. So these are largely all because neighboring nations are Islamic nations. This is purely a derivative of partition. I'm going to come back to the aspect of illegal citizens. Under what act does it come? It comes under the Foreigners Act of 1946, where the act empowers the government to regulate entry, presence and departure of foreigners in Bharat. Entering Bharat without proper documentation or overstaying a visa is considered illegal. Empowers the district magistrates to set up tribunals to decide if a person is staying illegally. Also, the Passport Entry into India Act 1920, that also says that the government has to make rules requiring persons entering Bharat to be in possession of passports, and if they don't have, they have the power to remove any such person. So my question is, Praful Shahdev, in Jharkhand, the district magistrates themselves could have exercised this power. आज तक क्यों नहीं हुआ है?
Let me first begin with, congratulating you on this fantastic story. The figures are draconian. It's absolutely shocking. Now, let me first show you a few slides. This slide is from 8 July 2023. This is a News 18 story where you first actually brought into picture the massive infiltration of the Bangladeshis to the neighboring parts of West Bengal and Jharkhand. And this is the letter from the special branch that you were showing actually in your channel earlier. And see, you missed out a very important point in this letter. This special branch letter directed to all the deputy commissioners dated 2nd of June 2023 says there is massive infiltration of Bangladeshis into Jharkhand. They are given shelter in madrasas where their documents are prepared and then they are sent to the different parts of the state to settle. Now your story that I am actually showing actually points out to a very startling fact. In 2008, Rajmahal constituency had 19% Muslim population and 61% tribal population. This is just a neighboring part of the West Bengal. But today, as we speak, the population of the Muslims is 40%. And the tribal has dwindled down to 40% too. So the Muslim and tribals are at par. See, there is a very systematic gang, which operates. And I was listening to what Danish is saying, and Danish was absolutely right. These infiltrators not only come, take shelter in madrasas, they are given documents, and then they trap the poor Adivasi girls, get married to them, encroach upon their land, and not only Anand land, because these seats are reserved for tribal girls, the Mukhias and the Panchayat seats, they put their wives as election candidates and they even capture power. So these Bangladeshi infiltrators are not only capturing land, they're also capturing political power, and this has come out in the special branch letter. This is a very, very shocking fact. And see, this is not infiltration related only to 6 districts. Even when there were riots in Lohartaka district, which is adjacent to Ranchi, there was a special branch report that Rohingyas and Bangladeshi infiltrators were involved in the riots. And surprisingly, the DSP that gave that report was removed within 24 hours. There is a systematic group which actually believes in vote bank politics, which provides documents, and those documents are as good as the documents, they're with the Indian citizens.
Pratulji, did they come only day before yesterday? When I say day before yesterday, that means in 22 and 23. These numbers are reflective from 2001 onwards. And 2001 to 2011, these areas, and also from, and so it's not that the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha is the only party that's been in government. The BJP was also in power in Jharkhand for a while. So what was done at that time?
2001 to 2011, if you look at the central ocean, majority 70% of the time it was the UPA government at the play in the central government. Now our party's position was, we started a survey in 2018 based on the districts which was actually stopped by the JMM government when they came to power. They indulge in vote bank politics. These Bangladeshi infiltrators are pocket vote banks of Congress and Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, and they would leave no stone unturned to make ensure that these peoples are not evicted from.
Sir,
Jharkhand.
here is the reality, sir. We have to stop as a nation, as a district, as a state, as a city, as a district. We have to stop them from coming, sir, because once they enter, you cannot push them out, because you will have a whole host of other issues burgeoning in front of you, and allowing illegals to come and settle in Bharat. We today are we in a position to root out or weed out 3.5 crore people from our country and send them back to where they came from?
Anand, I would also just like to make one strong point. What has actually happened in the Jharkhand High Court, in the first affidavit filed by the Jharkhand government, and I say affidavit, they said there is zero infiltration.
So,
and when the High Court came down very heavily, they took a U-turn and they said whatever reasons, like whatever decisions to take, we'll explore. And the High Court has, by saying that can CA be a part of the larger picture when these infiltrations can be rooted out, this is just the beginning. High Court is just exploring. Our take is the district magistrate is amply found, and the final authority would be when the NRC is implemented. But High Court is actually exploring the ways.
Let Mr. Tanuj Khatri respond. Is this not a concern for all of us? That if we have non-Bharatiya settling in our country and then becoming parasites, because then they tend to take the jobs, land, resources, everything, which does not actually truly belong to them, and they have not even declared. It's all forged documents. Should not this be a concern for everybody, Mr. Khatri? And why deny earlier and accept now?
देखिए आनंद जी, पिछले दिनों जब आपके चैनल ने ये स्टोरी की थी, तो आपके चैनल पर जो डिबेट हुआ था, आप ही उसकी एंकरिंग कर रहे थे, तो हम शामिल हुए थे, मैं भी शामिल हुआ।
जी, मुझे याद है।
हाँ जी, तो आनंद, हमने उस वक्त भी आपको बताया था कि झारखंड बनने के बाद भारतीय जनता पार्टी लंबे समय तक यहाँ पे शासन किया उन्होंने। पिछले 4 साल से हमारी सरकार है, पहली चीज। दूसरी चीज के
नहीं, उनको बोलने दीजिए, तनुज जी को बोलने दीजिए प्लीज, उसके बाद फिर आप लोग काउंटर कीजिएगा जी।
हाँ, बीच में एकदम सभ्यता नहीं है।
Don't preach me. Let the anchor decide.
जी।
आपकी आदत है आनंद, ऐसे तो डिबेट नहीं कराई।
नहीं, आप बोलिए तनुज, आप बोलिए जी।
मैं वही कह रहा था कि पिछले लंबे समय से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार झारखंड में रही और 4 सालों से हमारी सरकार है, लेकिन ये हमारी सरकार और झारखंड की सरकार का मसला ही नहीं है। ये मसला है केंद्रीय गृह मंत्रालय का, बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्स का, जहां पे आदरणीय अमित शाह जी बंदूक लेकर के बैठे हुए हैं। और वहां
नहीं, रुके प्रतुल जी, आप बीच में नहीं बोलिए, उनको बोलने दीजिए, फिर आप काउंटर कीजिएगा। दानिश भी काउंटर करना चाहते हैं। दानिश, आई कम टू यू आफ्टर दैट। यस तनुज जी, कंप्लीट।
ऐसे बार बार ये असभ्यता
नहीं, मैं टोक रहा हूं, मैं मॉडरेट कर रहा हूं, आप अपनी बात रखिए।
ये पूर्ण रूप से मसला है केंद्रीय गृह मंत्रालय का, जहां पे अमित शाह जी मशीन गन के साथ मौजूद हैं, AK-47 के साथ मौजूद हैं। आप घुसने क्यों दे रहे हैं? हम भी उनके खिलाफ हैं, निकाल के बाहर फेंको। क्यों घुसने दे रहे हो घुसपैठियों को? कौन घुसा रहा है? जवाब दो। और पिछले अगर घुस आया तो 2001 से, अरे हड़बड़ाओ मत, तुम्हारी बकवास हमने सुनी।
सभ्यता भाषा में तनुज जी देखिए, आप अपने तर्क रखिए, लेकिन भाषा में सभ्यता भी रखिए। नहीं, रुकिए प्रतुल जी, बीच में मत टोके। प्रतुल जी, प्लीज डोंट हैकल इन बिटवीन। अलाउ मी टू डू माय जॉब। तनुज जी देखिए, आप अपनी बात रखिए, लेकिन भाषा में सभ्यता भी रखिए। थोड़ा सा अंकुश वहां पर आप अपनी बात रखिए।
चलिए, शुक्रिया आनंद जी, ये सीधे तौर पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी को जवाब देना चाहिए। पिछले 10 सालों से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार है देश के अंदर में, और लगातार झारखंड में उन्होंने शासन किया। एक तरफ आपने वहां से भेजने का काम किया, दूसरे तरफ यहाँ पे अंदर उनको पहुंचाने का काम किया। अगर किया तो
जी।
ये जवाब बनता है, ये गुमराह कर रहे
ठीक
हैं
है।
झारखंड
अच्छा,
के लोगों को।
एक आपकी बात आपने रखी, पर एक चीज है कि लॉ एंड ऑर्डर एक स्टेट का सब्जेक्ट है और स्टेट के पास ये पावर्स हैं कि अगर उसके यहाँ अनधिकृत लोग हैं, अतिक्रमण कर रहे हैं या इलीगल्स हैं, तो स्टेट उनको अपनी जगह से यानी अपनी बाउंड्रीज से बाहर कर सकता है। ये पिछले 4 साल में क्या जेएमएम ने किया, ये प्रश्न है और इसका उत्तर दानिश देंगे, बिकॉज दानिश को कोर्ट में झारखंड सरकार ने पिछले 2 साल में क्या क्या कहा है दानिश जानते हैं। जी दानिश बोलिए।
आनंद जी, ऐसा है कि सबसे पहले जो इन्होंने कहा कि राज्य सरकार नहीं है, चलिए मानता हूं कि सेंट्रल गड़बड़ी कर रहा, तो राज्य में तो अभी इन्हीं की सरकार है, अलायंस की सरकार है कांग्रेस के साथ में। फिर आप हमको 7 महीने तक क्यों घुमाते रहे? आपके तरफ से एफिडेविट कह दे के कहा जाता है कि इन्फिल्ट्रेशन नहीं है, सब कुछ नहीं है, और उसी बीच आपकी इंटेलिजेंस जो है, स्टेट इंटेलिजेंस सीआईडी जो है, वो सारे जिले के डीसी और एसपीओ को पत्र लिखती है और इन बिटवीन आप हमको झुठलाते हैं। तो ये आपका स्टैंड तो क्लियरली दिखता है, पहली बात। दूसरी बात, जब आपकी गवर्नमेंट होती है, आपका पूरा मशीनरी आपका है साहब, तो आपका तो इजीली एक्सेस है। बिना आप अभी एक चीज बताइए, पाकुर, गोड्डा एंड जामताड़ा डिस्ट्रिक्ट हैव मेड द मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ आधार कार्ड्स in last 10 years. Such a number Aadhaar cards were not even in district of Jharkhand. कहीं apparently कहीं नहीं बना। तो ये 5 डिस्ट्रिक्ट में अगर आप डेटा निकालेंगे, मेरे पास अभी डेटा है, मैं हाथ में लिया हुआ हूँ डेटा, इसीलिए आपसे कह रहा।
पढ़ दीजिए, मैं 2 मिनट और दे रहा हूँ आपको समय, आप पढ़ दीजिए सारा डेटा, पढ़िए। 2013 से लेके 2019 तक में सबसे ज्यादा आधार कार्ड इन डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में बना है, ठीक है, और किसी भी 5-6 डिस्ट्रिक्ट में इतना आधार कार्ड का संख्या नहीं है। जबकि अगर आप देखेंगे तो दुमका से कहीं ज्यादा पब्लिक, मतलब ये जो है जमशेदपुर और रांची में है, लेकिन उसमें रेशियो नहीं है उतना। तो मैं ये पूछता हूं कि आखिर किस आधार पे आधार कार्ड इतने ज्यादा बने और कैसे इनकी लोकल एजेंसीज उसको नहीं रोक पाई? ये कौन से 2014 से 2024 के बीच में ना?
2014 से 2019 तक का है।
19 तक का डेटा है, तो 5 साल में कोई यकायक तो इतना बड़ा नहीं हो जाएगा कि भाई सबका आधार कार्ड बनने लगेगा।
वही मैं पूछ रहा हूँ ना। अच्छा, बिना किसी लोकल प्रमाण के आधार कार्ड बन भी नहीं सकता है, तो कैसे बना?
तो लोकल प्रमाण के आधार कार्ड कैसे बन गया? अब ये 2014 से 19 तक झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा की सरकार तो नहीं थी, अब उस वक्त जिसकी सरकार थी उनको भी उत्तर देना है कि वो कैसे बन गया। This is a question, this is endemic now. Pratul ji, yes, quickly, I have to wind up, but this is a real problem for all of us. हमारी आपस की इंडिविजुअल पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज की पॉलिटिक्स एंड लोकल डिस्ट्रिक्ट पे लोकल लेवल ग्रासरूट करप्शन की वजह से दीमक हमारे देश पर चढ़ रहा है। That's a reality, sir. That's a hard reality for all of us.
Let me just show you the special branch letter, 6/2023. Now ask him to stop, please. The letter was written when Hemant Soren ji was the chief minister, and the letter written to all the district magistrate and SP clearly says that you find out the infiltrators and you root them out, but they sat over it. You know, Anand ji, हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, ये बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठिए इस सरकार में दामाद का दर्जा प्राप्त करके बैठे हैं। They are marrying आदिवासी girls, they are capturing land.
मैं बस इतना कहूंगा सर, दूसरे को टोकना आसान है। जब आप आनी थी, जब आपकी सरकार थी, आपने कितना रोका, आपने कितना टोका? क्या आपने कोई ऐसा सिस्टम बनाया कि कोई हिमाकत नहीं करेगा कि झारखंड के आकर बैठकर अवैध रूप से घुसे और वहां बच जाए? अगर आपने नहीं रोका तो आप किसी और को नहीं टोक सकते। दैट्स अ रियलिटी। बट ये तू मैं के चक्कर में सर PIL दाखिल करने वाले सैयद दानिश हैं, आप नहीं, ना बीजेपी का कोई PIL। और दूसरी बात, कंसर्न उठाने वाला भी एक आम नागरिक है। कोर्ट ने जो संज्ञान लिया वो भी कोर्ट ने संज्ञान लिया, सरकारों ने नहीं लिया, लोकल डिस्ट्रिक्ट मैजिस्ट्रेट्स और कलेक्टर्स ने नहीं लिया, और वहां पर उन्होंने सफाया नहीं किया। जामताड़ा से कितना क्राइम निकलता है सबको पता है। ये गोड्डा में, संथल परगना में ट्राइबल्स की क्या हालत हो रही है, एवरीबडी नोज। वी डोंट केयर व्हाट्स गोइंग टू हैपन टू आवर कंट्री, वी डोंट केयर। That's what we need to think. When are we going to start putting our country first and our own selfish interests later? That's another big question. And around this poll season, that's the reason why we are doing this story, and we have spent more than half an hour of prime time, because this is an important issue. Thank you to all our panelists. Thank you very much. We'll continue to track the story because 3 weeks later the centre has to respond on this. The issue of illegals is a big one, ladies and gentlemen, because we have sacrificed territorial integrity in the past. We have given up portions of our Bharat in the past. Can we do it now? Can we continue to say, oh, no one lives there, just a small piece of land? What if so many people have come? We are already 140 crore. All these questions we have to think of. We're going to take a very, very short break, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. When we come back, we turn the spotlight towards Tamil Nadu, where Kachutivu comes back. But more importantly, will the Tamil people open their hearts, doors and votes for nationalism and the BJP? Stay with us.